Welcome to episode 1 of the Think Global, Act Local podcast with Courtney Woods of PC Media Techs and
Jennifer Carlson of Real and Rosemary and Caveat Coffee.
we're so excited to be bringing this podcast as a form of just education for the entrepreneurship ecosystem here in Birmingham and region wide as well. So, in order to get started, we want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. Again, my name is Courtney Woods with PC Media Techs, which is a website and promotional design agency where we'll be celebrating 10 years in business here in December. And I'm going to let Jennifer tell you a little bit about Real and Rosemary.
Thank you. We are also going to be celebrating 10 years in March of Real and Rosemary. My husband Nate and I own that business, and we have a location in Homewood and in Crestline. And then we also have a coffee shop. It's called Caveat Coffee in Homewood as well.
And today we're going to be talking to you about the entrepreneurial ship mindset. And we actually have Dr. Murphy here in studio with us today. And the entrepreneurial mindset is actually a class. It's a part of his curriculum that he teaches at the Bearfield UAB School of Entrepreneurship. So I'm going to let him tell a little bit about that, kick off the conversation about the entrepreneurial mindset in honor of his class, and then we're going to go from there.
Thanks, Courtney. It's great to see you and Jennifer as well. So we think of the entrepreneurial mindset as a discipline, which means it's something that can be learned, but you don't learn it easily or immediately like you might learn a piece of information or a skill or something like that. It's something you have to kind of experiment with and undertake a lot of trial and error and cultivate something like a mindset, which is what we call it. And the way it's expressed in entrepreneurial situations, there's a lot of different ways it's expressed, but some of the big ones are curiosity about things you don't understand, or maybe a problem-solving orientation, perhaps comfort with being unlike others to do unique things, or maybe being okay when the environment is uncertain, not needing to be told what to do in a particular environment, or maybe being in an environment where there are clear rules that you have to follow. The entrepreneurial mindset is usually the opposite of that. Entrepreneurs tend to gravitate toward uncertainty because they often have a clear vision in their mind about what ought to be done or what they want to improve or how they want to evolve or the kind of impact that they want to make. That's just a short introduction to the entrepreneurial mindset as we define it in my field. And I do have the honor of chairing the entrepreneurship program at UAB. I've been in this role for 7 years. I'm the Goodrich Chair at UAB, and I direct the Bearfield Entrepreneurship Program. And we have a major in entrepreneurship that has about 140 university students in it. And then we have a minor in entrepreneurship that has maybe 70 or 80 students in it. And I find that we have really generated a lot of traction because this particular group of young people that are coming up, and the group, you might refer to them as Gen Z or Generation Z, they're highly entrepreneurial. It's almost like they've been born into a world in which they can use information technology that's relatively free and there's relatively high access to it. And that allows them to research things that they like, ignore things they don't like, and forge a very strong sense of personal identity or develop a sense of the kind of unique impact they want to make in the world. It's baked into who they are. It's hardwired into the way that they think. So that, I believe, has caused a lot of them to be very interested in entrepreneurship. And so they've been showing up to our program. And we become a destination program in the state because there are 59, maybe 60 colleges or universities in the state of Alabama. Only 4 have an undergraduate bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship. It's a relatively new field and a new type of program. And we launched ours 5 years ago. And as a result of that, young people across the state and across the region have found out about this opportunity to go to university and really make their university education all about entrepreneurship by majoring in it. And therefore, they have shown up at our doorstep, and we have trained a lot of them. We've generated maybe 50 alumni at this point, some of whom are successful entrepreneurs. But at the heart of all of that, the cornerstone educational experience is a course in the entrepreneurial mindset. It's a 15-week semester-long course in which they learn those things I mentioned earlier, which make up the discipline of this mindset. And it's very important in my experience that a rising startup entrepreneur learns how to embrace the entrepreneurial mindset and cultivate one, because people are going to reject them and people are going to see them as different, and they are going to encounter a lot of uncertainty, and they can't let any of those external forms of energy be hostile to what they're building, because in the early stages it's pretty unique. So you have to have a strong mindset. But that's how we view it, and that's what we've been teaching, and we're really excited about the impact that we're making. And it's great to be on this show with both of you and talk about that a little bit. And I'm excited about this new podcast and what it means for the ecosystem, because there's a lot of talent out there that I think will engage with this podcast and learn from it.
And Dr. Murphy has been very gracious to me this year and allowed me to teach in the program. And I'm absolutely loving getting to know the students. They have so much energy and so much excitement around UAB and the entrepreneurship program and being entrepreneurs. And if you could speak just for a second, I know that when you think of entrepreneurship, maybe immediately you think you have to start a business. And for a lot of people, that is true. We've started businesses, but also for students, they may go work for another entrepreneur. They may be another company. And the entrepreneurship mindset is just as important with the entrepreneurial thinking, even if you're not starting out creating a company immediately. Can you talk to that a little bit? Because I think there may be some listeners that feel that way as well.
Right. One of the first things that people, when they hear about our program, they think, well, what are you doing? Are you turning them into entrepreneurs right away? And I say, well, if they're ready for that, we can.
Right.
But the fact is, 80% of the jobs in the economy, open jobs that are looking for talent, 4 out of 5 are with entrepreneurial firms. And so think about that for a minute. It's where most of the jobs are, with these entrepreneurial firms. And what does a university do? It cultivates talent on the other side of the supply and demand equation. We're supplying talent to the demand that these employers have for people to join their company and add value. And so for entrepreneurial firms in particular, which is where most of the jobs are anyway, they're looking for a particular type of person to join their team. And if one of those young new hires, sometimes they're not young, sometimes they're mid-career and they come back, if that individual has the entrepreneurial mindset, they will be really attractive to those firms. So we do place a lot of our students with existing entrepreneurial firms, because a lot of them are hiring. And when the firms show up and they interview our students and they have this really strong entrepreneurial mindset, they become very attractive to those firms. So we've not only become a destination program for young talent and rising talent that wants to get a formal education, we've also become a destination for firms in the state of Alabama that are hiring for talent. And for the students showing up who want to be entrepreneurs, I mean, I can tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and I know both of you have as well. A great stepping stone to becoming an entrepreneur is working with or for another entrepreneur for a while first, because it really tempers your talent and it gives you experiences that can be very instrumental to you when you branch out on your own. So when you connect all those dots, I think it's really easy to see the impact that the program is making on the ecosystem.
Absolutely. Thank you. I know the entrepreneurial mindset was something that I learned over time. I had a wonderful business background in my education, but it definitely took me a while to learn it. And, there's nothing like the school of life to teach you.
Right.
For sure.
The experience is the best teacher.
Absolutely. But I think it's wonderful that the students are getting a head start with learning how that works so that I tell them things shouldn't be a surprise when it happens in real life. It is going to be difficult or these different things and they can overcome it. But how to think is very important. And that's certainly not something that AI can replace or anything else. And I think the entrepreneurial mindset is going to carry people through the next years and in their career.
That's so true, Jennifer. And I actually really value what Dr. Patrick said about even the employees that are working with entrepreneurs or people that are involved with the operations, or even if it's not the day-to-day processes, just understanding the entrepreneurial mindset, because entrepreneurs, founders, business minds are expected to operate through challenges that they've never seen before,
That's right.
setbacks, ups and downs. They're expected to stay mentally sharp, emotionally sharp, balance it all out, wear multiple hats, figure it out, and stay on track every step of the way with no excuses and no complaints. It doesn't sound humanly possible when you're the one doing it in the day-to-day, but it is true. It is what is expected of us. So being able to work through different challenges. I know I've come across several different challenges starting a website design agency based off of something that I just love to do, which is graphic design, and realizing that in order to grow this company to the level that I saw in my vision, I'm going to have to overcome some of these hurdles that are in my way. I'm not good at accounting. I'm not good at HR. I'm not good at a lot of things that I have to learn how to be an expert at in order to thrive as an entrepreneur. Has there been any experiences that you came across that you had to kind of figure your way through? And it may even sometimes, we reach these obstacles and it takes us a few years to really
Absolutely.
get to a
Yes.
good point where we feel comfortable with it.
Absolutely. I think it's been nothing but obstacles some days. But no, you're absolutely right. I think as entrepreneurs, maybe we're really good at one thing, but in general, I find that we are generalists, not specialists as a whole, because you do have to learn to do all of the things, right? Every function originally starts with you, and you may put somebody in charge of it eventually or whatever, but often on day one, you're wearing all the hats. And so I do think that's definitely the case. And as far as the entrepreneurial mindset goes, I think what has carried me through a lot of those challenges is learning how to problem solve, learning how to think. And recently I was doing some research. I have a daughter in middle school, and one of her vocabulary words was resilient. And we had to do a matching game, and it matched with bouncy. And I thought that was really interesting because when I think of the word resilient, we definitely think of entrepreneurs and things they do. But I think of steel and resolve and being very firm. And I thought the bouncy was a much better definition because we do get knocked down or knocked around, but we bounce back. We don't stay in that position. We come back, we problem solve, we keep moving. And you can't really look at it as a setback. It's really you learn something about yourself or about the market or about your customer, and then you adjust. I think a lot of entrepreneurship is iterating, just continuing to evolve. I know that's kind of what's happened with us. And, we were in restaurants during COVID, so there was a lot of evolving during that time. But throughout my entrepreneurial career, it's been a lot of what is the market saying? What are the customers saying? What is my team saying? And how do we adjust and how do we evolve from there? Have
I
you
agree.
had similar experiences?
Yes, and we just have to learn how to say everything is a lesson. Nothing is a
That's right.
loss. It's
That's right.
always a lesson. If you spent thousands of dollars hiring and spending hours and hours of training someone and they end up not working out, it's a lesson, because next time when someone comes in, you may vet them a little bit better, or you may be more prepared with the training material, or you may be more prepared with giving them quotas or KPIs. So, it just goes for every single area of the business. And I know with Real and Rosemary, which is a restaurant, is it safe to say that you wanted to start your business for your love of cooking? Or I see a lot of the items on your menu are healthy.
Yeah,
And I
that's
cannot
right.
wait to buy that. I'm like a little health
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. We often say that we're in the people business, and I like to be in the people business first. And so, we wanted to set up a restaurant and then a coffee shop where the most important thing is the people. It's the people that you're with and the people that you're around. So I want you to feel very comfortable ordering anything on the menu. And when you get it, you're in a beautiful setting that feels really good and you have a great meal to enjoy so that you can focus on who you're with and what's most important. Or if you get takeout and you take it home like we do often, you can not worry about the meal and how things are. You can really focus on the people around you and those connections. And so I feel like we're in the people business disguised as a restaurant or a coffee shop. And that's really where I like to land. I think people are so interesting and all people have value and they have so much to offer. And so creating a way that they can connect with each other and connect with us is really important to me. So that's what we've worked to do.
Cool. I love it. I love it. And with PC Media Techs, we actually started our company. Well, I started in the living room. In my living room with my laptop and my Wi-Fi connection. So just being able to see the company grow and expand into a private office, into a brick and mortar location, into having multiple team members. It's a beautiful thing to experience and watch and see, whether you're, on the outside looking in or the inside looking out. But it's a lot of challenges that definitely come with it. So I think for entrepreneurs to really just stay motivated, we have to, what I like to practice is a lot of self-improvement and personal development, being able to take constructive criticism well, because we're constantly learning.
That's right.
We're constantly growing. When we stop learning, we stop growing. So being able to digest things, take feedback, because I know you have customers. I'm
Every
sure
day,
you
yes.
have a couple of customers complain
No
here and
doubt.
there about, something with their food or anything like that. So what are some of the things that you do to really help you just stay grounded as you're continuing to learn and grow through all of the obstacles?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the most successful entrepreneurs I've seen have just like a natural curiosity. They are always learning. And so when you can mentally take that feedback and not take it as a negative, but as a learning in whatever field you're in, I think that can really make a difference. It's not that you have failed or that you've messed up, it's that you've learned how to do better. And I really appreciate it when customers tell me something they care about, because that means they care about what we're doing and they care about our people and our brand. And that's exciting to me. So I generally welcome that kind of feedback. And often they may have spotted a problem I didn't even see or recognize in the beginning. I think entrepreneurs have to also, I don't know for you, I feel like it was this way, but especially as you're kind of evolving and growing, there's a lot of ambiguity. And I don't think you ever get to make decisions with perfect information. Like when we were in school and you're taking a math test, there's like a perfect answer you can get to, an exact answer that's going to work out. But in entrepreneurship, you don't have perfect information. You work with what you have and you have to step out and make decisions. And the more comfortable you get with knowing who you are and knowing your customer and your business, I think the easier it gets to make those decisions. Maybe it's never easy,
Right.
but it's important to keep you moving forward so that you don't get stuck, basically. Have you dealt with that in your career?
Agree. And when you were just talking, light bulbs went off, because I remember I really had to like retrain my mind
Yes.
at one point, just to be able to stay on track with everything and continue to learn and grow throughout all of the obstacles. So definitely that entrepreneur mindset is something that is developed over time, learning about it, like with the classes that Dr. Murphy provides and the podcast topics that we discuss here on the Think Global Act Local podcast. It's really helpful because it kind of prepares you or helps you to get in that mindset or get back into that mindset, just in case, you may have lost a little bit of it. But is it anything that you want to share? I know we talked a little bit about feedback. Do
Yeah.
you collect any type of reviews, or do you have like a process where you request feedback and request reviews from your customers?
Yeah, well, in restaurants, there's often Google reviews and Yelp reviews and things like that where you get pretty instant feedback. And we do get feedback in the stores a lot too. That's the kind I prefer, so I can see what's going on immediately. And if there is an issue, we can address it then. But you can definitely look at reviews and see trends and how certain things are doing or how things are going. It kind of gives you a pulse on the business, I think, as you go,
Right.
which has been really helpful for us in staffing and training and, things that resonate with customers and how to adjust. It is important to me that our food is clean food and we want you to feel good about it. And health is like a very personal term. It means different things to different people. Like for me right now, strawberries aren't healthy. I'm allergic to them, but for most people, they would be healthy. And so we try to create options that work for a lot of people to figure out what works in their lifestyle in that life place and that point. And that can be really challenging. So we do get a good bit of feedback from our customers. And I like as much as possible to take that and work with it to make a better product, something that works for them in their life. Because ultimately that's the goal, is to be able to serve them and help them.
It is important to be able to collect that feedback and not only collect it, but display it. I know platforms like Google reviews, Facebook reviews, and stuff like that helps out a lot. But my company, PC Media Techs, we actually do a website Wednesday live stream. And just
Very
this
cool.
week, it's so funny because just this week I was sharing my screen during Website Wednesday, and on every website that I was showing them like where the review section are. And we're really big on visual communication.
Yeah.
So we might have like a picture representation or an actual picture of the client with their reviews being displayed on a slider. And it just really helps with allowing people to see what other people like them are saying about your services, about your product, about your brand. So if they're visiting your website and they're having doubts or hesitation, or they're like, well, I don't know if I should just work with this company or if I should, pull up at this store or this restaurant, that's one of those things that's going to help them make a more informed buying decision. We all know when we go shop on Amazon, the first thing we do is scroll down to the reviews to see what everybody is
Absolutely.
saying. So no matter how early you are in the business phase, or if you have not started putting together a strategy, a system, or a process for collecting reviews, no matter what industry you're in, this is going to be important. You are an expert at what you do, and nobody can do it the way that you do it with the passion that you have to do it. So we want to make sure that the people that you are serving are communicating that feedback and that you're able to display it so that you can multiply that.
And I'll say, if you're just a little plug, if you're a customer of a business, especially a small business, and you have a really good experience, those reviews really do help. They make a big difference in, views of the website and different things like that. And that's a very easy way to encourage entrepreneurs in your local communities, just by leaving positive reviews.
Right. Because it's so many different businesses out here. So that really helps because people have to weed through the mess,
Yes.
weed through the junk. I'm sure it's other restaurants that serve what you serve. I'm sure it's other agencies that offer what we offer. So it's really important because it helps to separate you and shows what makes your business just that much more valuable to someone that's thinking about making that buying decision.
I like what you said about, you do have to have a passion for your business, and no one can do it quite like you do it. And so, yes, there are lots of other restaurants and I'm sure other agencies that can do things you do, but they're not going to do it how you do it.
Right.
And one thing that I've tried to do is make sure I know who I am. And I tell entrepreneurs to know who they are, because if you know who you are, it's much easier to put that out into the company. The company needs to work with you. We did an exercise in class the other day on personal branding, and I told them, as an entrepreneur, you get to pick your logo and your different decisions and things. And
Part.
it is the fun part. And so when we opened Real and Rosemary, I I have red hair, and I picked a color palette that worked for me, because if I need to stand in this space, I picked colors that I liked and wanted to be around, and hopefully conveyed things to the customer about the food being clean and crisp and the restaurant being clean, but also things that reflected who I am to put in the brand. And I think that does help you be unique, because customers do want, especially in local businesses, a personal touch, a personal product. And
Right.
so trying to inject yourself into the business as the champion of the business, I think can be really important.
Right, because that's your brand personality and everything trickles down from you.
That's right.
That's right. So did you have anything else that you want to share before we wrap up episode 1 of the Think Global, Act Local podcast?
I would just say that, I think it's encouraging to hear that there is an entrepreneurial mindset that is different than maybe other mindsets, because a lot of times entrepreneurs, maybe you feel out of place, or maybe you feel like you're different, or you felt different in different classes or different upbringing, whatever that is. And I want you to know that that is useful, and it makes you you, and it makes you unique. And that's something you can bring and offer to customers and to your community. And I think that's really powerful. Who you are and what your story is, I think, is very powerful as you bring that into entrepreneurship. It's what makes our community rich and unique. So I think don't ever hesitate to share that with the world.
Right.
What about you? Do you have any other notes?
I totally agree. I think we pretty much touched on everything. I know you having a restaurant, you probably have regulars, it's a community. And the name of this podcast is the Think Global, Act Local podcast. And I noticed the same thing within my company, even though we work with people in other cities and other states all of the time. I have a lot of regulars as well. So,
Absolutely.
being able to really take that entrepreneurship mindset and look at it from a local level, from a community-based type level, is something that's super important, because your community is what is the base of what's going to support your solid foundation as you continue to grow. And we're going to get more into that in episode 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. Think global, act local. Until next time, have a great day.